Okay, so this is a question for both of you, and I thought of it because, obviously you were talking about how you're walking down an aisle and there's feminine hygiene and it's so associated with that gender. So what can we do? And I want to speak on behalf of sort of anyone who's a bit more ignorant, I suppose, because I've never had that identity crisis. Like I've never had that. I've just been like, feminine hygiene. Oh, yeah, I'm a female. And it's been that simple for me. But what can we do to better sort of appropriate the language around periods and all that kind of stuff that is a lot more inclusive?
One thing that I've loved that the Period Place have done has said things like period products for people who get periods. That's awesome.
That's it.
And so supermarkets and places that sell them start to use that language too, and social service agencies that might say also use that if they could replicate that language when they're talking about things like period poverty. But then imagine if all our doctors and health providers who kind of work in the period industry started reflecting that. That would be awesome.
We've had conversations with nurses, with emergency staff, with GPs, and they've really felt like holding on to the term menstruation, because for them they're like, it's not a word that it's not a euphemism, which holds a lot of stigma. It is the word to describe the function,
very
menstruation,
medical.
Very medical. That's what it does. But what we've said to them is, but periods doesn't hold stigma. The word, it's not Aunt Flo. It's not the communists are in town, which BT Dubs is my fave. But it doesn't hold any negativity. It's a neutral term that can actually be used in a really positive light when you think about, the impacts of gender coming into the conversation. But if you say periods, then younger people, kids want to come into the conversation, because the term menstruation can be scary to young kids.
And it's a bit clinical, so it's a bit pathologizing as well.
It
is.
They're
menstruating or in their menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
Another top tip, when I'm thinking about eating out or going to cafes and restaurants, making sure that all bathrooms have bins to deal with period products. So even if someone, say, is transitioning and they're passing as a dude and they're like feeling comfortable or just feeling comfortable enough to use the men's bathrooms, but if there's not a bin to dispose of the bits and pieces that they may need to dispose of, that's really stink.
Also,
so by having those bins, it kind of upskills everyone else who might be in that bathroom.
But what about when you go to the female toilet, the one or two cubicles, and they're full? I just go straight into the men's. My whole life I've never had any problem.
Oh, wow.
Like, you walk in, you don't look, you say g'day, they tend to freak out because they're weird about having you in their space, which is ironic because apparently it's the opposite way that everybody needs to be worried about. And I go in and I do a wee and I come back out and I walk past the 47 women who are still waiting for the toilet.
I do that all the time.
But imagine if there was a sanitary bin
But that's what I mean, the amount of times I have used that bathroom because I've needed to get there quickly because of my period, rather than waiting in line at a petrol station or on a night out, whatever I'm doing, to be able to use it. For however you identify in a men's toilet, just have it there as a functional thing.
So my advice, if you work in a cafe, if you work in a restaurant, if you work in an office, wherever your place of work is, your little piece of advocacy could be to have that chat with your boss to say, hey, we need to have bins in our male bathrooms.
They don't even have them in every school cubicle.
It's like every second one, eh?
Yep.
I remember that in high school. You'd always be like looking if you had your period, like, oh, which one's got the bin?
The Period Place podcast. Thanks to our mates at You by Kotex.